The news that exploded across the information space today. American President Donald Trump told a private gathering of his campaign donors that once he tried to stop Russian President Vladimir Putin from attacking Ukraine by threatening to bomb Moscow in retaliation for his aggression. Trump gave the same warning about bombing Beijing to the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. And now audio recordings of these very threats by Donald Trump to Putin and Xi Jinping have appeared in the public domain. And in light of Trump's recent statements about Putin, which were quite unflattering, it becomes interesting why this leak of Trump's audio recordings with threats to Putin happened right now. I'm Alexei Peichi. Today is July 9th. Let's go through everything step by step. But before we start, I ask you to subscribe to this channel, leave a like, write any comment you want, and be sure to subscribe to my Telegram channel Peichi News. The link to it is in the description of this video. There we publish breaking news as it comes in. So today many were shocked by the publication of audio recordings in which Trump talks about how he personally threatened dictator Putin to bomb Moscow to hell. According to Trump, Putin didn't believe him at first, but according to the American president, it was enough that Putin believed in the threat of bombing Moscow by just 10%.
And then he says that he doesn't believe, that he believes by 10%.
Later, Trump stated that he gave a similar warning to Chinese President Xi Jinping about the potential invasion of Taiwan, telling him that the United States would bomb Beijing in response. Like, if Xi Jinping starts an invasion of the self-governed island, the United States will immediately start bombing China's capital, Beijing. And Xi Jinping also believed it only 10%. He thought I was crazy, said Trump about Xi Jinping, before noting that we never had any problems after that. And now, here's the most interesting part. Why is this leak of audio recordings happening right now? Because as a journalist who has worked with such leaks, I can say that they don't happen for no reason. And often it's not the content of the leak that's more important, but the timing of the leak itself. As those who publish these audio recordings claim, all these confessions by Trump were recorded when Trump began raising money from sponsors for his campaign for the United States presidency in 2024. These recordings were made in New York and Florida and were later obtained by Josh Ducey, Taylor Pager, and Isaac Arnstford, who described some of the exchanges in detail. In their new book titled 2024, notably this audio recording has not been broadcast publicly before, and the Trump team declined to comment on it. And so, as reported, the audio shows a more uninhibited side of Donald Trump, which he was willing to reveal only behind closed doors to appeal to wealthy donors. When he spoke not only about his sometimes aggressive foreign policy, but also about the deportation of student protesters. And also on these audio recordings, you can hear Trump saying that he knows and is confident that well-off Americans are more likely to vote for Democrats rather than Republicans. That's why they need to somehow be made to change their minds. On these audio recordings, Trump referred to his conversations with Putin and Xi Jinping, claiming that this way he managed to stop the hot phases of the war in Ukraine and in the Gaza Strip. But when Biden came to power, supposedly all of Donald Trump's threats lost their force. And that's exactly why Putin and Iran decided to start wars in Ukraine and in the Gaza Strip. And now Trump is showing that he's doing everything he can to put an end to both wars. And so, on Tuesday, Trump once again expressed his frustration with dictator Putin's resistance to a peace deal, complaining that the Russian dictator is, throwing a lot of crap at the United States of America. I'm not happy with Putin, Trump said during a cabinet meeting. I'm very, very unhappy with him. And so, during one of the campaign fundraising events, Trump boasted that he pressured wealthy allies to donate tens of millions of dollars to his campaign. On the other hand, in the audio recordings, you can also hear Trump as early as 2024 calling for the immediate deportation of student protesters who support militants in Hamas or express support for Palestine. Quote from Trump, "One thing I would do is any student who protests, I would kick them out of the country. I will fight against pro-Palestinian demonstrations on college campuses." These people made a big mistake. Kick them out of the country, and I think that will stop all of this. By the way, Trump has been trying to fulfill this promise since taking office, causing a series of legal disputes between the White House and the judiciary over the scope of mass deportation. This includes students who have visas, but whose visas the Trump administration is trying to revoke because of their participation in pro-Palestinian movements. At another fundraiser, Trump insisted that participants contribute more funds to his campaign, claiming that Republicans are at a disadvantage, because people on social welfare will always vote for the Democrats. Here's another quote from Trump from these audio recordings. "Unions give big money, government employees give big money, and they have the advantage of social welfare. The only thing I have to say to my Jewish friends is you need to get them to start voting for the Republicans." But let's get back to Trump's threats to Putin and Xi Jinping. The main question here is, why was the audio recording released right now? Most likely, cable news network got this audio recording a long time ago. Clearly, it wasn't after yesterday's press conference by Trump, where the United States president was finally disappointed in Putin and said that Putin is throwing nonsense at us. Quite often, I can say from my own experience, the media have such leaks of information that just wouldn't be appropriate today. That's why journalists often wait for the right moment to stir up public opinion against the backdrop of Donald Trump's personal statements. I think this is exactly one of those cases. Trump talks about being disappointed in Putin, about how he's clearly deceiving him and doesn't want to end the war, and then this audio recording is published, further fueling the dissatisfaction with Putin. Like, when such materials come out, Trump has to respond to them. And now Donald Trump's electorate might ask, if you really threatened to bomb Moscow if Putin invaded Ukraine, then why are you now, groveling before him? Why aren't you imposing sanctions? Why are you holding back aid to Ukraine? But still, it's already obvious. And once again, you were going to bomb Moscow if he attacked Ukraine. He attacked Ukraine. So, okay, if you're not ready to bomb, then you probably need to use some other levers of pressure, not try to somehow persuade a crazy dictator. In general, I think these audio recordings will have their consequences in terms of public opinion within the United States. Well, we'll be watching this situation. So I'll leave it at that for now. Share your opinions and conclusions in the comments below this episode. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, and don't forget to like.